numbers, win clinical chess, win payday, win payday. You were fighting this boring. 100 bill, whatever, 100 mil, whatever. Yeah, boring, cool.
Surprise it all. It's
Money
Mayweather.
Mayweather.
It's who he is. I've always thought that he's a horrible person, and this is every.
Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate recently dove into a heated conversation about a man who, for years, has been seen as untouchable by fans, Floyd Money Mayweather.
I follow him on Instagram. It's hilarious. He's always in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and he's making deals. Look at my cars. Look at my watch. This is my big watch.
But this time, it wasn't praise. It was concern, disbelief, and straight-up shots fired at the so-called best ever. The illusion surrounding Mayweather is clearly starting to crack, and people aren't holding back anymore. Fighters, legends, influencers, and fans alike are beginning to see him in a new light. The image he spent years carefully crafting is now being dismantled piece by piece. According to Andrew Tate, there was a time when he held nothing but respect for Floyd.
Ali's Ali, right? But Mayweather's never lost. He's never lost to anybody. And I liked him because he was so clinical and so precise. And he took his ego out of it and said, I want to have a longer career.
He admired him, like many did, for the undefeated record, the flash, the success. In fact, when Mayweather once sent him a fight offer, Tate turned it down, not out of fear, but out of respect. He said it felt wrong to turn someone he looked up to into a spectacle. But today, that respect is wearing thin. Tate has come forward claiming that the fight offer wasn't just about boxing. It was part of a larger strategy, a calculated business move. According to him, Mayweather wasn't only looking to step into the ring. He was also trying to rope Tate into his so-called real estate empire.
To my lifestyle, showing people how I live. Now, I know you guys see me on a regular talking about real estate. Well, lately, I purchased 62 apartment buildings in New York City. And what I need you guys to do, slide over and check out the photos. It's not all 62 buildings, it's a few buildings, but guess what? All the buildings belong to me. I don't have no partners. And all the retail down low on my buildings,
And that's where things get murky, because as time goes on, it's becoming clear that much of that so-called empire might not even exist on paper. Floyd's investments appear to be a stack of bold claims with very few actual receipts. That's where Tate drew the line, and now he's glad he did.
Floyd Mayweather Jr., there's a story circulating that Business Insider did talking about this $400 million property deal that he had been discussing here in New York City. But now, according to Business Insider, it's not what you think it is. They said there's no evidence there's been a sale of these properties, and it's 62 rental apartment.
The image Mayweather built around himself, that of a man who played the game smarter, who invested while others spent, who was untouchable both in the ring and in the bank, is now being questioned more than ever. The same man who once flexed stacks of cash on camera, mocked fighters who went broke, and proudly claimed he had it all figured out, is now finding himself at the center of some serious doubts.
Podcast last week, but you have to stop embarrassing yourself with these exhibitions. I know life is hard, I know life is expensive, but come on, dude, put your legacy first. Nobody wants to remember you like this. And it gets worse, your jeweler filed a lawsuit against you in Miami. And many are saying you're gonna have to sell off your assets. I hate seeing this happen.
And it's not just Tate sounding the alarm. Joe Rogan recently called it out too. On his podcast, Rogan didn't hold back. He pointed to Mayweather's growing pattern of jumping into exhibition matches. Not real fights, but glorified sparring sessions against non-boxers or retired athletes. According to Rogan, it's not about legacy or love for the sport anymore. It's about money. Not just making more, but making enough to keep up with how much he's spending.
I think the problem with shining is when it defines you.
Yeah.
The problem when you just everything is flat, like Floyd Mayweather in a way.
Yeah.
It's part of his persona. It's
Yeah.
part of why people root against him. Like
Yeah.
Floyd is a genius,
Yeah,
in
he is.
my opinion. Not just a genius boxing. He's the greatest defensive boxer,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my opinion,
yeah.
of all time. But also a genius in that he figured out a way where he has this style that's not appealing to a lot.
Floyd spends a lot. He's rocking million-dollar watches and living a lifestyle that's nothing short of extreme. If you live like that, you need money flowing in constantly. Rogan pointed out that Mayweather is boxing guys who have no real chance against him, and he's doing it in exhibitions that don't even affect his undefeated record. But the money's got to keep coming in at Rogan's take. Mayweather might be trapped in a cycle that's nearly impossible to break. When you've spent years showing the world this non-stop highlight reel of wealth and success, how do you suddenly say, I'm done? You can't. So you keep the show running, keep flexing the cars, the mansions, the jets, even when the reality behind all of it might be starting to fall apart.
No points, right? Because it's an exhibition. So that's what's interesting is Floyd's making more money than anybody. And he's boxing people who have no chance of beating him, and he's doing it as an exhibition. It doesn't even hurt his record.
Because of the drug of boxing.
Also
like
money.
Just like but I don't even think he don't need any money.
He spends so much money.
Yeah, but he don't need any.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Floyd good.
I bet if he's planning for the future, you got to keep it coming in.
What really poured gas on the fire was when Mayweather appeared on The Tonight Show and casually claimed he owned over 100 buildings with dough, 99% of them supposedly in New York City. This came on the heels of reports that he allegedly invested $42 million in his 60 buildings offering affordable housing, something that would make headlines anywhere. But here's the problem. There's no paperwork, no verified contracts, nothing concrete to prove Floyd actually owns those buildings. If anything, it looks like he might just have a small stake, if that. Once people started digging, what they found, or didn't find, only made things worse. The properties in question either weren't legally tied to him, or he had no real ownership at all. Sure, the buildings might exist, but are they his? That's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $42 million one.
One of the best investments that I did was New York real estate. So it started off with 7 figures, and I was getting a certain amount of money every month. When I first gave them $5 million, I was getting $50,000 a month. So I said, yo, the money kept coming on the 18th every month. $50,000 would come in. I still was competing, I still was fighting, I still was active, and I still was making.
That's why Andrew Tate's respect for Mayweather is quickly fading. In Tate's view, Mayweather didn't just want to fight, he wanted to use him. He wanted to link his name to Tate's own influence, possibly using that credibility to prop up these shaky investment claims. Tate walked away, and now he's glad he did. But Tate and Rogan aren't the only ones calling out Floyd. Even Roberto Duran, yes, the legendary Hands of Stone, has stepped up to challenge Mayweather. And Duran didn't hold back. He went straight for Floyd's legacy. I laugh when Mayweather says he would dominate any era. Duran said, if he was in the same era as Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, and me, I don't think he'd be a big name. Coming from Duran, a 4-division world champion who fought for more than 33 years, that's a heavy blow. He knows what greatness looks like, and in his eyes, Floyd's career doesn't measure up to the golden age of boxing.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, limited edition AP, all factory, 1.8 million right here. The $20 bills section. We like to call this the Andrew Jackson section, but I like to call it wallpaper. 200,000 in 20s. I heard in the song you can get the biggest Chanel bag in the store if you want it. Well, this is the biggest Chanel bag in the world. I got this bag from Karl Lagerfeld. R.I.P. May he rest in peace.
To Duran, it's not just about being undefeated. It's about who you fought and how you fought them. It's about your attitude, your humility, and how you represent the sport both inside and outside the ring. And with Floyd constantly flaunting his wealth, trying to rewrite history, and claiming he would have ruled every era, Duran has had enough, but it doesn't stop there. Teddy Atlas, a veteran boxing trainer and one of the most respected analysts in the game, backed up Duran's words and added his own fire to the mix on the Fight Podcast. Atlas didn't just say Duran would beat Floyd. He broke it down. He talked about Duran's body work, his aggression, and his boxing intelligence. Atlas explained that Duran would push Floyd back, jab to the chest to throw him off rhythm, and ultimately control the ring. Floyd wouldn't be fighting. He'd be surviving.
Okay, what's going on? In the least amount of fights, I didn't have to have 70 fights, or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that.
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
Alice has also questioned Floyd's so-called empire of investments. He said, if Mayweather really was sitting on a gold mine of real estate, then why is he out here fighting YouTubers and ex-MMA fighters? Why is he flying to random countries for exhibitions if he doesn't need the money? The conclusion is clear. Something doesn't add up, and more people are noticing that what's happening now is a shift. For years, Floyd Mayweather controlled the narrative. He sold the world a version of himself that was perfect, rich, undefeated, and in control. But now his critics are growing louder. And it's not just the haters. It's legends. It's people who love the sport. It's analysts who have seen hundreds of fighters come and go. It's fans who are tired of being lied to. The facade is starting to crack.
I'm able to nuke the game. I was smart. Kept all my faculties. Made a lot of smart investments. So, when great people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the Waltons, the people that own Walmart and Walgreens, when they're getting money in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, 80s, and even 90s, it's okay. A young kid like myself, from the inner city, from the ghetto, I worked my way to the top.
And this all leads to one uncomfortable truth. Floyd Mayweather might not be who he told us he was. He might not be the smartest guy in the room. He might not be the best investor in sports. He might not even be the greatest boxer of all time. Here's the thing. If you're really great, if you're truly the GOAT, you don't need to convince anyone. The record speaks for itself. The legacy stands on its own. But with Floyd, there's always a pitch. There's always a flex. There's always something he needs us to believe. The exhibitions, the watches, the mansions, the 100 buildings. It's all designed to keep the illusion going. But now, the cracks are starting to show.
There's a flex happening with Floyd Mayweather that we were all cheering and congratulating him from, but we might need to put a pin in that as some evidence comes forward that things may not be how they seem.
For a long time, Floyd Mayweather could walk into any room and people would cheer. He was the undefeated, untouchable, flamboyant genius of the squared circle. But Floyd Mayweather's story doesn't end with his perfect 50-0 record. That was just the beginning of a complex legacy, layered in contradictions, theatrics, manipulation, and dominance. He blurred the lines between authenticity and showmanship so seamlessly that the world couldn't figure out whether to cheer or jeer. What Triple H saw backstage before the Marquez fight wasn't just confidence. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare. That laid-back demeanor wasn't arrogance. It was design. Floyd had already won that fight before he even laced up his gloves. That's what made him truly terrifying.
The reason why the fight game is crazy, everybody doing it for the wrong reason. A lot of fighters are looking at money Mayweather, where I was older and I felt like I put in so much hard work as a youngster, from 19 all the way to 29 for 10 straight years. So right now, hip-hop.
To many, there's no blueprint to beat Floyd Mayweather because Floyd is the blueprint. From Victor Ortiz to Canelo Alvarez, Floyd's genius wasn't just in his shoulder roll or his footwork. It was in how he built belief. He sold stories. He convinced the world, time after time, that each new opponent might have the key to beating him. He let the public fall in love with the idea of his downfall, and then shattered it right in front of their eyes. You'd think by his 30th win, fans would stop doubting him. By his 40th, they'd accept that he was levels above the rest. By 45, they'd concede. But Floyd kept making them believe. He'd drip-feed vulnerability through HBO specials and pre-fight interviews, talking about strained relationships, aging bones, and the pressure from the world. And fans bit every time.
Always bring happiness.
Oh,
right?
absolutely not.
What's the biggest mistake that you've made in your life that you can share, with people?
Same mistake that all four of us made. Trust.
Then came Ortiz. Young, hungry, and powerful, Floyd built him up. He showed up late to press conferences, disrespected Ortiz during promo events, and played the role of the aging villain, out of touch with his prime. And then the bell rang. We all know what happened. Floyd waited for Ortiz to make the mistake. He saw it coming, and whether you call it a sucker punch or not, the message was clear. Asterisk, don't you dare think I've slipped. The same psychological chess played out with Canelo. In 2013, Alvarez was undefeated, bigger, stronger, and a fan favorite. Mayweather made it seem like this was the passing of the torch. But the torch never moved. Canelo got schooled for 12 rounds and couldn't touch him. It wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. Canelo's aura was broken that night, and it took him years to rebuild it. Mayweather understood the image like no one else. He was the villain, yes, but he was also the mirror. He reflected what you feared in yourself, that your best wasn't good enough, that effort could be outmaneuvered by intelligence, and that discipline could dominate talent. And he marketed this villain brilliantly. It wasn't about being liked, it was about being watched. You didn't pay to see him win, you paid to see him lose. The tragedy for you was, he never gave you that satisfaction. But even villains have layers.
And sure enough, Floyd was built to be the villain. Floyd was built with his opponents that we put in front of him, from Miguel Cotto to everybody. He was the villain. And in a movie, you need the hero and a villain. And Floyd was the perfect villain. People love to hate him. And guess what? He made a whole...
Behind the brash persona was a complex individual, someone with a different kind of war raging outside the ring, a war of perception. Floyd Mayweather isn't just a man who dodged punches. He's someone who dodged the traps of poverty, the limitations of being black in America, and the violence of the streets. His money wasn't just for flaunting. It was armor, a constant reminder that he made it.so when Triple H saw him relax before a war in the ring. What he really saw was a man who had already fought dozens of wars before that night. Mental, emotional, and cultural battles. But now, in retirement, Floyd's life is starting to expose the cracks. The undefeated king is still fighting, but this time, the opponent has a reputation of its own.
So the money's really gone?
Yeah, that's what you think. It's fine. Get the money, spend the money. Fine.
All that money?
And it took been 2 years.
So is it just his overhead is so high on a day-to-day, month-to-month? Like
I don't even want to talk about it. Like with the lifestyle, that money's gone. Trust me. Now it's like you call him, he'll be at your local host in a nightclub because you need that action right now.
Do you think
Amir Khan, once humbled in the same arena that made Mayweather a global icon, is now attacking from the sidelines. And it's not about jabs or uppercuts anymore. It's about political alignment and moral stance. Khan calls him a puppet for Israel, a money-hungry showboat who would pick sides just for a paycheck. Whether you agree with Khan or not, one thing is undeniable. The public perception of Floyd Mayweather has become just as polarizing as his fighting career. What's troubling, though, is that Khan's accusations aren't coming out of thin air. There's substance to the criticism, and it's catching more attention than ever.
Been waiting on the bench for ages, man. Yeah, I'm gonna fight you. Who should I pick? Who should I fight now? He did a vote thing with me and Maidana. Obviously, I got the most votes to fight him, but still went and fought Maidana. So, and also now with what's going on now as well, the way he is around people. I mean, he only does anything for money. He's the money guy. Where he just
money man.
I know people I know people who know him in the UK who have done events with him, and he'll count every penny, and he won't even give no he just.
Floyd's recent public image is less about why he supports Israel and more about how he does it. When the Mayweather-Israel initiative launched, it didn't just stir applause, it sparked outrage. He wasn't just donating, he was doing it loudly. Grandiose photos with soldiers, meetings with leaders, and tweets flaunting his stance in the middle of a war zone of public opinion. That spectacle was the fuel that set the fire ablaze. Then came the London incident, mob assault, an inevitable consequence of being too loud in a divided world. In a world starved for neutrality, Floyd chose a side and made sure the world knew it. But here's the Floyd twist. Maybe that was the point all along.
Money made all day. Right here, a light million. Over there, counting up another million over there. Walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you into my life. So Andrew Jackson, of course, is on the 20.
Floyd doesn't do anything unless it serves Floyd. His entire brand is built on controversy. Every insult, every backlash, every mob protest, it all gets spun into narrative gold. People start talking, clicks go up, views increase, and exhibitions get sold. He's still in the business of being watched. Yet, while Floyd's mastery of attention remains unmatched, the questions about his financial empire are starting to stick. Once hailed as the richest fighter alive, earning more than entire nations on fight night, there's a creeping skepticism now. The shine is fading, and the doubts are growing louder.
Sadness today to report to you that I'm incredibly disappointed in one of my all-time favorite fighters, my brother, Floyd Money Mayweather. Ladies and gentlemen, chaos broke out. And I'm not talking about legit, bona fide boxing, pure boxing chaos. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that's just embarrassing.
That ass business model that you're gonna charge the fans for some bullshit fight and that you the face of boxing because you just keep shoving it down their throat, man. The Mayweather era, that's over with, man.
Floyd Mayweather was once a boxer. Now, he's a living museum, a touring relic. Still fascinating, but no longer the center of the sport. And when that spotlight dims, ego takes over. That might be Floyd's last true opponent. Not a southpaw, not Father Time, but his own reflection. Because the legend of Floyd Mayweather, the genius strategist, the villain, the perfectionist, is only sustainable as long as the world still believes. The moment they stop watching, stop caring, stop being outraged, his empire crumbles. Well, how do you see all this? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.